You might be wondering why I'm pulling carrots in the middle of August when it's 95 degrees. These have been in the ground since February, and I've left them there for a reason that has almost nothing to do with carrots. More on that later. And the heat is really intense. It's over 100 degrees in the sun, so I'm on my shady patio filming the rest of this video. I've grown carrots every single year for 13 years, and after all that time, it comes down to two things that matter more than anything else: when you plant them and how you get the seed in the ground. Just about everything that's ever gone majorly wrong for me with carrots traces back to one of those two things. So today I'm going to show you how I find my own planting date, the way I sow the seed that uses a fraction of what I used to and takes almost all the misery out of thinning, and the one simple thing I do to keep tiny carrot seeds moist long enough to germinate in this heat. I'm in zone 8A in upstate South Carolina, so your date's not going to be exactly the same as mine, and I'll walk you through how to find yours. So these are carrots that I planted in late February, and the variety is called Romance. Normally I would have harvested these much sooner, but my older daughter asked me to leave them in the ground because black swallowtail butterflies use carrot leaves for their host plants for their caterpillars. I'm going to tell you more about how that started later because it turned into something a lot bigger than either of us expected. Anyway, at this point, these carrots are tougher than they would have been a few months ago, but they're still completely usable, and I'm not going to let them go to waste. I'm going to cut them into about 1-inch pieces, roast them with a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper, and then I'm going to freeze them to use them this winter in a blended root veggie soup that I make. You can also use carrot tops to make pesto, which is another way to use more of what you harvest. It's also time to get the next round of carrots in the ground, which is the one that I want to be harvesting when it's cold. My fall carrots are going in one of my raised beds that already has a watering grid over it, and I've also got a different simple irrigation kit that I use, and I'm going to link both of them below so that you can see how they work, because carrots need steady moisture, especially while the seeds are germinating and the seedlings are still small, and actually all the way through, because these carrots could be bigger, but I left them alone all summer because I knew that they were for a project for my daughter, and the greens were growing great. But consistent moisture really makes a difference. And our falls are actually usually pretty dry here. And hand watering a bed of tiny carrot seedlings is very frustrating because even a gentle stream of water can uncover the seeds or flatten the tiny seedlings that have already grown, and then they end up somewhere that you didn't plant them. So watering the whole bed slowly and evenly just takes that problem off of the plate. Carrots also need enough soil depth for the root to grow straight down without running into compacted soil or rocks. A raised bed works well for me because I've got more control over the soil. We've got really compact red clay soil here, and it helps with the drainage, and obviously you can control the depth. You can absolutely grow carrots in a container instead as well. Just match the container size to the kind of carrot that you're planting. Whatever you use, definitely put the container somewhere with plenty of sun, and keep in mind that the sun moves fast this time of year as we go from summer into fall. But the nice thing about a container is that you can pick it up and move it. I put together a carrot planting companion guide to use alongside this video. It includes a worksheet that walks you through finding your own planting date, a visual reference for the sowing and spacing methods I'm about to show you, my hot weather germination checklist, and simple thinning and troubleshooting references. So by the end, you'll have your complete carrot plan, and you can get the link on the screen here and in the description below. So for this planting of fall carrots, I'm going to be growing the Danvers variety, and I want to tell you the difference between the ones that I'm harvesting now and the Danvers ones. Romance is a variety that's crisp and sweet, and Danvers has a stronger, earthier flavor, and the substantial roots hold up beautifully cooked in things like one of my favorite ways to use them, which is chicken noodle soup in the winter. I've grown Danvers for years, and I used to grow it for canning, but now that I don't can anymore, I just leave them in the garden all winter and pull them when we need them, and they store reliably in the ground through our mild winters, and the cold makes them sweeter. Keep in mind that our ground doesn't freeze solid here though. Now here's the timing, and what I'm actually planning around is the point where short days in cold soil slow my carrots down to almost nothing. It starts with the same rule I use for everything I plant in the fall. Anything going in the ground right now is going to grow a lot slower than the seed packet says because the days are getting shorter and cooler instead of longer and warmer in the spring. My daylight drops to around 10 hours at the beginning of December, but I don't want to be counting on active growth right up to that date. I want these carrots mature at least a couple weeks beforehand, so my target is around the middle of November. Danvers is approximately 75 days. I add at least 2 weeks because everything grows more slowly in the fall, which gives me about 90 growing days. Counting backward from the middle of November puts my planting window to right now, the middle to later part of August. I could probably push this planting into the very beginning of September and still make it, but based on past experiences, I would much rather have time to spare in the fall than risking something happening where they're not going to be ready. So basically the size of your carrots is going to be the size of your carrots by the time your daylight drops to 10 hours. In warmer locations where this doesn't happen, obviously your carrots are going to keep growing. Your date depends on your latitude, so look up when you hit 10 hours where you live. And if you're up in Michigan, where I used to live, or New England, for example, you're hitting that in early November, which is 3 or 4 weeks less than what I've got here. And I know about this timing because I've gotten it wrong. And that one year I planted my carrots in late September, they ended up coming up fine, but they were small because they stopped growing. They went dormant, meaning they went to sleep for the winter, and the greens died back, and then they started growing back when the days got longer and warmer in the spring. So I did get carrots, but by then they were tougher than I wanted them to be. So that's when it finally clicked for me that the reducing daylight hours is important. If you're doing your own math and you're already past your date, here's my honest answer. I've left mature carrots in the ground through winter for years, but I've never left really tiny ones out there. So I can't tell you from experience how those do. But what I can tell you is that carrots are biennials. So that means that their whole plan is to grow a root the first year and then flower the second year. So a carrot that never got the chance to size up before winter is a lot more likely to put its energy into a flower stalk come spring than into the root that you actually wanted. And that's why the carrots are going to be tougher after the spring growth. If you're just a little past, I would plant anyway and plan on harvesting them small because baby carrots are still good to eat. But if you're a long way past, I would personally wait for spring to plant instead. Okay, so before I plant carrots, I want to make sure that they have loose soil that they can push through without hitting rocks or hard clumps or compacted areas. If the root runs into something as it's growing, that's when you can get carrots that are forked or crooked or stunted or whatever. And because I'm in a raised bed, I've got more control over that. So I'm going to loosen the surface, pull out anything that could block the roots, and then level the planting area. I also top my beds off with a couple of inches of finished compost before I plant anything in my garden, which helps loosen the soil and then also helps it hold on to water. I don't automatically add fertilizer when I plant carrots, which might be different than other things that you've heard, but I personally go without it because I focus on building this good soil over time. And if you think that yours might be missing something, you can get it tested through your local university extension office rather than just guessing, which is a lot more reliable than just adding fertilizer and hoping for the best. Here's the second thing that I said matters most for carrots, and that is that carrot seeds are tiny, and for years I sprinkled them down the row and then I hoped. I wasted an enormous amount of seeds that way, and then I'd be out here for what felt like forever thinning a solid row of seedlings, and it drove me absolutely insane. If that is not something that you find calming, here's what I would do instead. Instead of a continuous line, I take a few extra minutes and I put a small cluster of seeds down the row every few inches, and then 3 things happen when I sow this way. I use a fraction of the seed. I get a more reliable stand at each planting point because if one seed in a cluster doesn't come up, another one usually will, and thinning stops being an afternoon of misery. I only have to thin a couple every few inches and they're already spaced out how I need them. So carrot seeds may germinate faster in warm soil, but they can still take anywhere from approximately 1 to 3 weeks. I've never had them take that long. But that top layer of soil has to remain consistently moist throughout that window, and in August, that's the hard part because the surface can dry out in a single hot afternoon. Well, a lot less than that, in like an hour. So clustering the seeds gives me much better odds at each spot, but it doesn't help me at all if the whole bed dries out. And I know that because I've lost a whole planting to it. I sowed a bed of carrots, watered it in, got busy with everything else going on, and then I came back to nothing because the surface of the soil had dried out somewhere in that window while I wasn't paying attention. So now, after I water, I lay a board or a piece of cardboard directly over the planted area, and that covering shades the soil, slows down evaporation, and protects the seeds from heavy rain. It doesn't mean I get to plant them and totally forget about them, but it makes the moisture underneath a lot easier to manage. I have to check underneath it every day or two to see if the soil is still moist, and also to look for the first signs of germination. The second I see seedlings coming up, the cover comes off so that they can get sun. And once they're established and bigger, I can start watering more deeply. The next job is thinning. I wait until they're a bit bigger to do this because that way I have tiny carrots that I can eat and also greens that I can use for things like making pesto. So like I said before, because I planted in clusters instead of scattering the seeds, I just pick the strongest seedling in each little group and take out the rest. How much space each carrot needs depends on the variety and how big you want them, but I usually try to space them around 3 inches. These carrots right here, I didn't end up thinning. They still turned out to be pretty decent, but they could have been bigger if I gave them consistent water and I thinned them. But definitely thin them. If too many carrots are competing in the same few inches, none of the roots get room to totally size up. Carrots naturally store energy in their roots to get through the cold, which is why mature carrots can sit in the ground after the tops die back. That's mature ones though. A teeny tiny one that hardly grew doesn't have much stored away to work with, which is the whole reason that I care so much about getting the timing right. Here in upstate South Carolina, my raised beds work almost like a living refrigerator, and I can leave mature carrots in the soil and harvest them as I need them. That's not going to work the same way everywhere though. Carrots can rot if the soil stays waterlogged, and like repeated freezing and thawing can damage the roots without enough insulation. So colder climates are going to need a much thicker layer of mulch or some other protection. So earlier I told you that these carrots stayed in the ground for a reason that had almost nothing to do with carrots. My 3 daughters have been out in the garden with me since they were born, and as my oldest daughter has grown, she's gotten interested in every insect and animal living alongside the plants in the garden. One year we had parsnips growing and they ended up attracting black swallowtail butterflies. So she started bringing the eggs inside and raising them into caterpillars and then into butterflies and then releasing them. And she's done the same thing with monarchs, where she planted milkweed for them, she learned about their whole life cycle, and then she cared for them until they were ready to go. And so that's why she asked me to leave these carrots. And to her, the leaves were doing something just as valuable as the roots were doing for us. And over the years, that has turned into a passion for animals and zoology. And now one of her goals is a PhD in zoology someday. So I never could have planned that when I started bringing her outside with me. And I had no idea that she was finding something that might shape the rest of her life. So that's part of why I believe so strongly in teaching people to grow food. Having carrots or lettuce or tomatoes right outside your door matters in a big way, but you don't always know what else is going to grow out of the decision to plant something. Your reason might be completely different than mine, but maybe you're like me and you want food that you feel good about eating, or more control over where it comes from, or a reason to be outside, or a skill that makes you feel more capable. But sometimes a garden gives something to your life that ends up being much bigger than the food. There's something about putting my hands in the soil and pulling out food that I planted and cared for months ago. These carrots stayed in the ground way longer than I planned, and they don't look the way that they would have if I pulled them on time, but they're real food that my family is going to eat this winter. And now I get to plant the next round, knowing that when it's cold outside, I can walk outside and pull sweet carrots for the soups that we make all winter. And that's what makes it worth doing for me. It isn't about growing all of our food or having a perfect garden. It's about growing something useful, learning to work with the season, and letting the garden give something back when I need it the most. Even though it feels ridiculous to be thinking about winter right now, a few months from now you could be walking outside and pulling some of the sweetest carrots that you've ever eaten. And if you'd like the carrot planting guide we talked about earlier, it's right here on the screen and in the description below. And if you'd like lettuce growing alongside your carrots this fall and winter, that's what my lettuce video covers right here.